Hi, and welcome back to another Tech Talk. I'm Josh, and I'm a technician here that works at the IT Help Desk, and I'm here to show you how you can prepare your tech for the new semester. So let's get started here. I'm going to be on my Macintosh computer, and I'll show you how to do some of these steps on the Windows computers as well, but we're going to first start on the Macs. So first of all, we want to start off with keeping our computers clean and efficient. So in order to do that, we want to go over to our Finder tab and just delete any documents and files that might be duplicates or anything that we don't need that we might have saved throughout the semester here. So I'll go ahead and click the Finder button like I did right here on the bottom left corner. And once I have it, you should have a window that appears here that shows all your files. We'll enlarge it with the green extend button right here on the top left, just so you guys can see it a little bit better. And now we have the Recents tab right here on the left corner or left sidebar here. This will show us all our recent documents that we've been working with, so anything recent, and you can change this in the settings, but for now it's about like 30 items recent. You can see some recordings, some notes I have here, some other documents as well. If we want to go to like a specific location, we can go to Documents and the Desktop tab, and we can have like different files that you might find there as well. I would recommend looking through the files that you have in downloads as well, as that typically takes up a lot of space, especially with all the stuff that we download throughout the semester, like applications and any notes and presentations, anything like that. So let's go here to our Documents tab. I have a few documents here that I don't need anymore. So we'll select these, and I can hold down the control button or command button here to select both of these. And if I right click here, I can choose to move them to the trash here. And you might think, yes, this is going to clear up some space, and it does, but it doesn't do us much good if we didn't actually delete the items now. So whenever you move stuff to the trash, it is deleted, but not completely. If we go down here on the bottom right corner, you'll see a trash icon here. You also look up all these applications I've been doing here on the top right corner with the little magnifying glass, and just type in whatever you're trying to look for. So if I'm looking for trash, you can also do it, or settings. But anyways, let's open up the trash here. You see those two files that I just deleted showed up here. So they're still living on their computer. They're just in our trash bin. So if we want to get rid of them truly, we could just click the empty button and empty the trash. Once that, and we go back to the trash bin, you see there's nothing here. So that gets rid of our files. Now, that's not the only thing that can take up space in our computer. We want to make sure that our computer is clean from any unused apps that we don't use. So if there's any apps that we don't use, like on a Macintosh, we can go over here. I'll extend this here. We can go over here to the Applications tab and just search for any applications that we might not need anymore. So for me, let's say I don't need this AS Timer app anymore. You can also do the same thing. Just move the application to the trash. It might ask you for your password here. So we'll go ahead and put our password, and it'll move it to the trash. And then same concept here. We can just go ahead and empty the trash whenever we're ready to empty it. And that should clear up a lot of space. There's also another option you can use to clean up some apps and applications. If you're not really sure exactly what you have on your computer, you can go to the System Settings app right here on our dock, or you can search it up as well. And once we click it, it'll automatically take us to a General tab here. Now, in the General tab, you'll see Storage right here, and it'll show you all the applications and how much space is on your computer. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing that we need to keep our computer clean and just, have a bit of space there is because our computers and tech just tend to slow down the more and more data we put onto it. So we want to try to avoid that by trimming down on some of the space that we're using on our devices. So if we go here and click the info icon right here, it'll show you all the individual apps and how much space all these apps are taking. And you can choose to show them in the Finder, like how we were doing before, and just drag and delete or right click and delete them. And then make sure that you get rid of them from the trash can as well. The same can be done for any files that we have here. So if we want to empty the trash automatically, you can also turn that on as an option. So just anything that gets put in the trash gets cleared. But you can go through here as well where it says documents and info, and it'll show you all your larger files as well. And you can kind of go through those a little bit easier instead of just having to go through every individual tab within the Finder. It also shows you downloads, unsupported apps, etc., etc. But that's just the main gist of how to keep stuff clean on like a Mac. On a Windows computer, it's a little bit different, but it's the same concept. So you would have a file explorer that just acts as your Finder. You would delete them. They would go into your recycling bin or trash there, and then you'd go and clear those out. It's a very similar workflow on Windows. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at the end here. Anyways, let's go on and explain another method that is important to us. We want to make sure whenever we're done deleting and have our computer all cleaned up, we want to back up our files. Those are very important. We don't want to lose any types of files that we may have, accumulated over the years or through our studies here at DTS, or any, notes that our professors have taken. We want to back those up. There's a couple of methods we can use to back these up. Either we can use a cloud method, so something like OneDrive or iCloud or Dropbox or whatever cloud method you choose to use, or you can back them up physically like on a hard drive. Use a hard drive, you can just keep it on there and just take it out whenever you're done and just have it with you. That's another method. Or we also have something similar to the hard drive method. That's just our backups. So anything like Time Machine or the Windows file backup. So the difference between that and the hard drive method is the backups will usually make a whole copy of everything on your computer. So everything down to applications, settings, files, everything that would be important to you. So I'm going to show you how to do the OneDrive method first, and there's a couple ways to do this. So first of all, if you go online, you can download the OneDrive app onto your computer, and as you can see here, I already have it downloaded. So if we go ahead and just click it, you'll see I already have a OneDrive folder set up with my DTS account, and you see all my desktop documents and everything that I have here is connected to it. If it's my first time setting up OneDrive, for example, I can go up here on the menu bar on the top. It's usually a little cloud icon. You can hover over it. It'll tell you that it's OneDrive. And it'll usually give you the option to sign in. So if it's their first time using it, don't worry. It'll give you the prompt to sign in. And then once you're signed in, it'll try to start syncing the files. But one thing I'd like to make sure to whenever you sign in, you can go up here to the menu bar, like I'm doing, and just go to the top right corner where the settings cog is and go to preferences. And then from here, we can go to account and just make sure that your account is indeed listed here. As you can see, my DTS account right here. And you choose to unlink accounts if you don't want the OneDrive backups anymore. And you can also choose which folders are backing up, essentially, or syncing. So here you see here I have all my folders, desktop and documents here, and some other folders here. Now keep in mind, OneDrive does not back up your downloads folder, so that is something to keep mindful of. It's a little bit different on Windows, so just make sure that you go into the options here and make sure which folders are backing up correctly. That way you don't lose any progress. But once you've ensured that you've backed up all your files, you should be able to access them from a tab right here in your Finder called OneDrive. And then you'll be able to see any file. And any changes I do here will also be reflected across any devices that have my OneDrive account attached to them. So if I were to go onto, for example, my phone and I have the OneDrive app there and I'm connected, I would see every single folder that is connected to that account there. And any changes I do are synonymous. So anything, if I were to delete a folder here, it would also reflect on the other devices. And you don't have to download the OneDrive app here. You can also access it online. So if I were to go to, for example, a Google Chrome tab, or let me use Firefox actually. Let me pull that up. So if I were to go to, since we're all students here or staff, we can go to office.com. And once we're logged into office.com, and make sure you're logged into the right account here on the bottom left corner, we can go to apps, and then you will see a OneDrive option here. If you click that, it will take you to your OneDrive portal. And here you can see all the individual files that we have on here. It might look a little bit different from the Finder, but we can go here to the left sidebar and click My Files. And now, as you can see, if I go back to the Finder, you see all these folders are the same folders from our OneDrive in the Finder. So, and any changes I do here will also reflect. So let's demonstrate that. So if I were to create a new file here, or it might be easier to do it on the Finder here. So if I were to create a new folder, and let's just call it test. And if we decide to wait a minute here or refresh the page, it would eventually populate here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to populate, so that's why it's not showing up immediately here, but it will populate. Oh, there it is. But as you can see, any changes, synonymous. So it's good if you want to have your files handy in different devices. Now, as for a hard drive backup, if I had a hard drive here, I would just plug it into my computer, and we would see a little hard drive symbol right here with the hard drive name. It should look something like the Macintosh HD here, and I could just kind of demonstrate that. But you would open it up and you would see any files that you have there. You would just want to go to the Finder and just, we can also open up a new Finder tab here. So if we right click the Finder icon, you can click new Finder window. And then if we have any like files that we want to transfer, we can just simply drag and drop them into our hard drive. Now, whenever you have the files that on your hard drive that you want, you just want to make sure that you right click and just eject the drive. That way you don't corrupt any data or have the drive malfunction on us. This is just to ensure that we keep our data safe. As for the last method, I'm going to demonstrate Time Machine here. So usually it's located within the Launchpad, but you can also search it up here. So if I search up Time Machine, it's going to pull up our system settings. Now, it's going to tell you what you have exactly backing up on Time Machine. So right here is waiting for a backup. If I had my hard drive attached to here, it would list the drive and if I wanted to back it up. Now, for lack of demonstration, I don't have my drive with me right now, but if I did, it would tell me, do you want to back up your drive here? And you could set up the disk. Keep in mind, I would recommend having an individual drive for this. You don't want to use this on a drive that you have your files already on, because it will erase and format that drive. So everything that is on that drive will be gone. So I recommend using this on a drive that you don't need, or maybe a new one that you have purchased recently, etc., etc. And once you have set up this backup, if I go over here, mainly to the Launchpad on the bottom, and we can use the search bar here to find it easily. We can do Time Machine and actually launch the app. And it will show you all your screenshots that you have for that backup. And what this means is that these are just kind of examples and points of time your computer was saved. So whenever I back up using the drive, that is an exact copy of how my computer was at that time. So if something were to happen to my computer, let's say, something broke on it or it became corrupted, we can go back to the Time Machine and essentially, well, as the name implies, go back in time and go back to that snapshot instance, which is handy. And whenever you're done backing up drives, either via the Time Machine or Windows file backup method, or even just using the hard drive itself, I'd recommend saving the hard drive in a safe place. You usually don't want to have it in the same location, because if something happens to the computer, something might happen to your drive as well, physically. But that's all I have in terms of the backups here. And I do have a little slide here representing the Windows side of things, just to kind of give you a better example. So let me pull that up, and I'll show you. Okay. We have our preparing your tech for the next semester, and a little bit of quotes here, or tool tips. Why do we want to free up our space? We want our devices to work as efficiently and as quickly as possible. And how? Well, I just showed you how we can delete large, unused, and duplicate files and unused apps. And then for deleting files on an actual Windows device, again, it's using the File Explorer. It's also on the bottom of your dock there. It's not called the dock there, but it's a menu bar on the Windows. But it should be a little folder there. And then you can see that you have documents, downloads, desktop, pictures, etc. And then you can just right click those documents, or drag and select them all and just right click and press delete. And then make sure, of course, to empty the trash bin or recycling bin from there whenever you're done. As for uninstalling programs on a Windows, it's a little bit different than just deleting it and just deleting the recycling bin. Usually we want to go onto the bottom left corner to where our Windows icon is, or search bar, and then you can usually find the apps there. So usually you have some pinned apps or recently used apps, and you can right click them and it gives you an option to uninstall. I feel like that's the easiest way to get to it. You can also use the search bar to type for an app if you don't see it on that quick access menu, and then you can do the same thing, right click and uninstall. If that doesn't work for you, you can also go to the settings page. If you click on the search icon on the bottom and type in settings, and then if you go to the sidebar of the settings app, you can click on apps, and it'll take you to all of the apps that you have installed on your Windows 11 device. And then you would just click the three dots on the far right corner next to that app, and then press uninstall, and it'll go through the process of uninstalling all those apps. And you have different search options as well, like searching through the names or the size or where it's located on the device. And then to reiterate, backups. Why do we want backups? Don't want to lose our files. That's we don't want to do that. And how? Again, we have OneDrive, iCloud, and other methods like external drive backups or computer backups. So here I'm going to show you how to do a Windows file backup. So if you go to the search bar on the bottom left corner, we can search up Control Panel, and then we can launch that app from there, and it will take you to this type of window. It's going to the Control Panel window. We want to go over to Backup and Restore Windows 7. Now, you may be concerned why it says Windows 7. That's just how the technology works at the moment. That's just, even on a Windows 11 device or Windows 10 device, that's going to be the case. So don't worry there. Once we selected Backup and Restore, it's going to give us the option to set up a backup. And once you click up Set up a backup, just make sure that your designated hard drive, just like with Time Machine, is connected to your computer. And once we have connected to the computer, it'll give you the option to back up that your computer on that hard drive. You also select to restore files from a backup in that same page. As you can kind of see there, right there, where it says restore. And you select another backup to restore your files in case you lose them. But after you back them up, you should just keep the hard drive, again, in a safe place for future use, or until you're ready to back up again. And aside from that, I want to also show you a few other tricks here. So if I go back to my settings here, you can also go on a Mac to the settings app and then go to general. And if we go to storage, again, it just shows you exactly how much space and to optimize space. And again, you can click empty the trash automatically. But as for the system info, system data might be a little bit big. You might want to just keep that in mind. It might be some cache data. You might have some data like in some other places that aren't in your files or aren't in applications. So for example, if I were to go to Google Chrome, there's still data there. So if we go to the top right corner here, you'll see a little option that says delete browsing data. That's data that can be hogging up some space. You might have some website cache data as well. So if we go to settings and we type in cache, we'll see that we can delete some data that might be living in our browser that we don't need. But I would just recommend going through the caches and all the save passwords and all that and see what you don't need, because that all that space does accumulate over time. But other than that, I think that's all I have for y'all. So I'm glad that you guys were listening to my tech talk here, and I hope you guys have a great day.